All right, so this is good. We have the first public video of Trey Lance throwing since his injury against the Seattle Seahawks in September. It's now April 6th. So quick math says it's been 7 months since we've seen this. Now, the credit for this video, Instagram, Preston Smith Photography. But let's take a look. And my biggest question after seeing this for the first time is, did Trey Lance tighten up his release? In fact, if we can find another video, if Mike has another one somewhere, I probably have one that I took during training camp from an angle like this. Maybe I could go and find it right now. By the end of this video, we can compare. I just wanted to get online as soon as possible to show you this video of Trey Lance throwing. And to me, it really does seem that that elongated throwing motion that we had seen in his practice and game action prior to this video was a lot more loopy. And it seems to be tightened up. It really does. Now, does that mean it's going to be tightened up in live game action once you're facing actual pass rushers, you're wearing pads and a helmet? No, it doesn't. It's going to be normally when you work on habitual stuff, there's a chance that it reverts during actual game action. But I haven't seen Trey Lance throw with this type of emotion. This is just from the naked eye. So Mike just sent me something. Let's take a look. Maybe we could find a good Trey Lance video here to compare the throwing motions across time. I'm going to keep on playing this one in a loop here while we wait. This looks like it's going to be, it's going to be one of my videos from training camp. So we're going to watch these back to back. Just give me a second so we could set this all up and we'll have a good comparison for Trey Lance. Then I'm going to share my exclusive interview with John Lynch. Article is up on The Athletic. Okay, here we go. Adding it to the stream. We've got some of Trey Lance. Here we go. So this was Lance during training camp. See, that's a big loop, right? I think it's unmistakable that this is not what you want from the quarterback in a pro-style offense. You're going to want the release to be a lot tighter than this. Lance brings the ball back. We're going to see it from the other angle too to see kind of the change in depth of the football before he releases. But there is a big loop. There's a big follow-through. It's something that I think you could probably view here. Yeah, that's a big loop. I just paused it. And then Lance fires and really side of his helmet. Now let's see where the height on this throw is in comparison. Obviously, it's a different angle, not going to be quite as easy to see. But to me, that loop looks a lot tighter right there. I don't think that is nearly as big of a loop from Trey Lance. So, I mean, this is, I don't want to say circumstantial evidence because we actually have video evidence in front of us. Trey Lance throwing now versus Trey Lance throwing at training camp before the injury. This is the first video of Trey Lance throwing since the injury, but it's unclear evidence. Let's put it that way. It is video evidence. It's not circumstantial. It's there in front of us, but at best, it's unclear evidence that maybe that throwing motion has tightened up, which would be really, really good news for the 49ers. Now, both of the videos that I've been able to show you have been against air for Trey Lance. So you got one against air here at training camp, although he does have a helmet on. That is a looping release. This is 8 months ago. He got hurt about 7 months ago. So 8 months ago, this is what Trey Lance was throwing like. This is what it looked like. And presumably today or very recently, this is what we have Trey Lance looking like. We're going to get that video back up on the screen. Lance throwing motion, tightening up if that's going to get him up there. Looks like everything's running a little bit slow right now. All right, here we go. Trey back to pass. Chop as hell. Where's the internet when you need it? Here we go. This is a really slow release from Trey Lance because of the internet. There we go. Now it's going. Now it's going. Now it's moving quick. Nice tight release. I think that it looks better. I really do. I really do. So we'll see as we see more of Trey Lance. Now there's a report online that this was a throwing session with Patrick Mahomes. I don't think that's been confirmed yet. Mike will let me know if it has been, but I'll just sit here and talk to you about my exclusive interview with John Lynch, and then we'll go back to Trey Lance if some more footage of him and Patrick Mahomes, who he might be throwing with, does pop up. Anyway, this came out today. How 49ers general manager John Lynch uses the comp pick formula to reload for the NFL draft. As you know, the 49ers have been hoarding compensatory picks. They only have 2 of their original picks that they were, originally awarded in the standard fashion for this NFL draft left because they traded them all away for either Trey Lance or all but 2. They traded them away for Trey Lance or Christian McCaffrey. So the 49ers have been wheeling and dealing. And because of that, they needed to find a way to replenish their draft picks. And the way that they've replenished them has been an intricate way. It's been how the Ravens of Ozzie Newsome have done it, how the Patriots of Bill Belichick have done it, the compensatory pick formula. And I was able to talk to John Lynch at the NFL owners meetings last week, and he gave me some really good behind-the-scenes info about how the 49ers, and, this goes from Parag Marathe to staff underneath him. The 49ers have a lot of smart people in the front office, how they calculate contract values and exact numbers that they're going to offer players who might be leaving. And they don't go over that number. And they're okay if some players walk because they're going to get comp picks in return. And the 49ers have been amazing as far as procuring comp picks. The most that you can get every single season is 7. The max is 7. Well, look, early on in the Lynch-Shanahan regime, they didn't have many good players, so they didn't get any comp picks. 1 in 2017, that was from Alex Boone, who left after 2016. That was a guard who played for the previous regime, not for Shanahan or Lynch. 2018, the 49ers didn't earn a single comp pick. Finally, once the roster got a little bit better, the comp pick started rolling in. 3 in 2019, although only 1 in 2020 and 2021. But over the past 2 seasons, 2022 and 2023, this is another cycle, 11 comp picks. They're projected to get 5 in 2024. That is, if I'm doing my math correctly, 16 comp picks over a 3-year stretch for the San Francisco 49ers. 16 over 3 if 5 holds up next year, and a maximum of 7 this year. The 49ers are working this system really well. They're playing that comp pick game really, really effectively. So anyway, go and check this out. I'm going to go ahead and put the chat into the comment section for you, or the link into the chat section for you. And it is a good article to join The Athletic for, $1 a month, because this is stuff that this was separate. This wasn't at John Lynch's little press conference at the table. I was able to talk to him one-on-one at a different point at the NFL owners meetings. And he gave me a lot of good insight into how this 49ers franchise operates. So the link is now in that chat section. Go ahead and check it out. There you go. All right. Mike sent me something else. Oh, Mahomes is throwing too. Yeah, Mahomes looks to be in the same spot. Mahomes has the same familiar release. Mahomes doesn't have the tightest release, but I mean, it's still pretty, and he spins that football. And it definitely isn't as elongated as the one that we had previously seen with Trey Lance. In fact, at the end of this Mahomes video, it looks like he catch Trey Lance in the background. So who knows where they are? They're inside somewhere. If somebody could spot the football field and identify it, you get extra credit in the comment section. I'm going to go ahead and share the video of Patrick Mahomes here because I think people will be interested to watch it and to see Trey Lance in the background. All right, here's Pat. There's the throw. You could see he still spins the football with the best of them. And there's Trey in the background. How do we know that it is Trey in the background? Well, you could see the hat with, I think, the yellow or at least a little colorful logo in the middle. If we put Lance up, there you go. It is a yellow logo for Trey Lance throwing. In the back, that's not Pat Mahomes in the background. That looks like could be Jeff Christensen in the background. Not sure who the coach is, but indoor throwing going. Good, tight release from Trey Lance again. It looks like that throwing motion may have tightened up, especially in relation to some of the videos that we watched from training camp just a few minutes ago. That was an elongated release. And, it's a problem for Trey Lance. We talk about what Trey Lance needs to improve on. It's not the mental wherewithal. He's really smart. I don't think it's the athleticism. I mean, he might not be Lamar Jackson, and I don't think anybody ever thought that he was going to be Lamar Jackson. You just thought that he was going to be a dual threat mobile quarterback. I think he still is. Obviously, he hurt the ankle last year. What he needs to fix is the accuracy. And the accuracy is inconsistent because the mechanics are inconsistent. And the mechanics are inconsistent in the throwing aspect of him, at least, because that release has been really elongated. There's a lot more moving variables if that release is looping and if it's coming back around almost in baseball style. I don't want to say that Lance is exactly in that style, but it looked like he was dipping the football underneath his belt and then coming back up after that kind of hitch motion. He hasn't talked publicly all too much about the mechanics of his release. I think it's a touchy subject. And I think it's definitely something he's got to be working on, because in the NFL, if it's taking you an extra 0.3 of a second to get rid of the football, if you're bringing the ball down, the speed of edge rushers, the difference in time between, a 2.2 second release and a 2.7 second release is massive as far as how long it takes the opposing pass rush to hit. Also is massive as far as what windows defensive backs can close if they're reading a quarterback's eyes. If you can cut off just a couple tenths of a second, that could be the difference between a touchdown and a pick six in the NFL. And over the course of several attempts, a season's worth of attempts, or even a game's worth of attempts, that's going to be the difference between wins and losses and success and failure. So Trey Lance, he's needed to tighten up this release. This has been an issue when it comes to the lack of accuracy that we've seen from him so far. And when we watch this video, I have to say it looks like he has tightened up that release. I mean, I could rewind this and we could pause this right where he starts the release right here. Football, the hand, the left hand is off the football. That ball does not dip under his belt, and he flicks the ball forward. To me, that looks good. To me, that looks like there has been progress made. Again, is Trey Lance going to be able to carry this forward into live action? Because old habits die hard. And if you're in live action and all of a sudden those pass rushers are flying by you, the offensive linemen in front of you are getting pancaked, the blitz is coming up the A-gap, that's when you could revert to the old habits, right? That's when, the throws that you've done over the course of your whole life before the training to tighten up the throwing angle, which and the release motion, which has happened this offseason, all of that, you could revert to the bad habits. And that's obviously what Trey Lance is going to have to prove will not be the case. But he gets practice with defenders, rushing in half speed first. That's going to gradually build up until he's fully cleared. And then OTAs doesn't have full speed stuff either because pads aren't on. So really training and then training camp, you can't touch the quarterback. So this all circles back to Trey Lance is going to need actual game reps to show the progress that he's actually made. And that's where it becomes tricky. And, Tim Kawakami, his line last week was Trey Lance is no longer on scholarship. The 49ers gave him a starting spot essentially for free last offseason, right? Because they had already invested so much in him. They needed to see what they had. He got the starting spot, then he got hurt. That ship has sailed. Brock Purdy showed up on the scene and impressed since then. Obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo's not on the team anymore. But Sam Darnold, who's also a number 3 pick, is now in tow with the 49ers. He played well to close last season. He has a better resume overall than Trey Lance over the course of his NFL career. So there's competition in the room now. And the 49ers need to know what they have from Lance sooner rather than later. Yes, but they can't just be sitting around and waiting. Lance has got to force the issue. He's got to kick the door down and show what he's got. And that's why this video right here is a good sign indeed, because Trey Lance looks to have made some mechanical progress. Now it's a question of, can he sustain it? Can he show it over a longer period of time? But nice looking throw from Trey Lance. The spiral. I don't know who the receiver was, but we do know the other QB, or at least one of the other QBs was, and that's Patrick Mahomes. See, Mahomes goes back a little bit further with the football, but Mahomes gets away with it. Mahomes has a great feel in the pocket, and obviously he just has that magician's touch. It's really hard to compare anybody to Patrick Mahomes. By far has been the most efficient quarterback in football over the past 5-6 seasons. That's Trey in the background, by the way. Watch Patrick Mahomes one more time. This is good camera work. Preston Smith Photography is the credit on Instagram, by the way. Make sure to give him a follow. He's got Trey Lance in the background. You can see them there at the left. That is Trey. But this is the video everybody came to watch, so we could put it on one more time. Preston Smith Photography. I want to make sure that I give proper credit. Wow, Didn't expect to have Trey Lance video today. It's the first one that we've seen in a long time. Like I said, throwing wise, I think it's been 7 months since that Seattle game. He started throwing around the time of the NFL Combine. It has been about a month since Trey Lance resumed throwing, a little bit more than a month. He's not fully cleared yet. First surgery came in September, shortly after the ankle fracture against Seattle in week 2. Second surgery to remove a device that had caused some irritation happened, I believe, on New Year's Eve, December 31st. And then by the end of February, early March, Trey Lance was, I think, running again, and he was definitely throwing again. He started right at the time of that NFL Combine. The full clearance, though, has not yet come, and the 49ers expect full clearance to happen at some point between now and the start of OTAs, which are in about a month, a little bit more than a month is when OTAs are going to be underway for the 49ers. So Trey Lance will be on that practice field. It's going to be him competing with Sam Darnold. I know you can't really start a formal competition in OTAs, but you can split the reps. But again, it's not going to be completely live football, at least on the secondary, because you're not going to get live football in training camp either. But as far as playbook knowledge and as far as, some of the timing aspects of the game, Kyle Shanahan's going to start to compare Trey Lance and Sam Darnold and how the two number 3 picks are performing in the context of the 49ers offense. And then we're still waiting for Brock Purdy right now, obviously. Waiting on that recovery news, but the 49ers do hope that he'll be back in about 6 months from the time of the injury against Philadelphia or the time of the surgery, which was obviously about a month later than that. So that could bring Brock Purdy back around training camp if it's sooner than the 6 months or right around week 1. And the 49ers say that maybe that window lasts until week 4. So this situation with Trey Lance and Sam Darnold is really important for the 49ers to fortify the most important position. All right, hope everybody enjoyed that. Make sure that you do check out the exclusive interview with John Lynch, and I'll leave you with Trey Lance one more time. The throw, courtesy Preston Smith Photography on Instagram, looked like a tighter release for Trey Lance. So we'll see if that is indeed the case, but wanted to bring you the update right here. Some good video work there for sure. Gives us some food for thought, some fodder for discussion. Everybody have a great Thursday afternoon. Take care.